So I was asked to share a couple things, and the first thing I want to talk about is how did I overcome? The first question was to talk about everything that I overcame in the last year. And it's kind of a loaded question, so I'm like, okay, Amy, there's a lot there, which part, right? Which part of the year? And there's a lot of stuff that happened. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Patrick. My wife and I are the founders of the Fringe Coffee House, which is a reentry social enterprise in Hamilton, Ohio, as well as the founders of Fringe Industries, which is the nonprofit blanket over that. And so there's a lot that we do to help people that are coming out of addiction, coming out of prison. And there's a lot, we have businesses that employ people. We're standing in the church that we planted. And so we're passionate about change. We're passionate about people living to their full potential. Our heart and our mission with that particular nonprofit is to empower inmates, ex-felons, and those in recovery to live healthy, whole lives, right? And that encompasses your body, that encompasses your mind, it encompasses your spirit. And so, but there was a time last year when we opened this coffee shop to employ people coming out of prison and out of addiction because nobody wants to hire them because of the record, the felony, the history. And so we thought, well, we could be the kind of people that we just complain about that, we cry about the problem, or we could actually do something about it. And so my wife and I, we prayed and we, talked to some people and talked to each other and decided, let's just do something about it. And so we launched this coffee shop that it's kind of a strange combination, a bunch of tattooed felons serving lattes, you know what I mean? But it works because it's not, it doesn't make sense, but it does in a lot of ways. And so we had no idea as we were rehabbing this building. We spent about 2 years rehabbing the building. The building sat vacant. Well, we spent about a year rehabbing it. The building before we got it sat vacant for about 10 years. And so it was a lot of work. We had no idea. Old Rona, our favorite friend, we're all missing right now. The coronavirus was coming. And our set launch date was October 29th, if I'm remembering correctly, 2020. I had no clue what was coming. So we paint this building, we rehab it, we get all the furniture, we're all pumped and stoked, excited, man. We get the thing open, and then coronavirus hits. And now we didn't have a drive-thru, didn't have dining, but we pushed through. We survived the coronavirus, man. And it was amazing. It was amazing. We had no idea if anybody showed up the first day. It was cold outside. It was raining, and 1,000 people came through the shop that day. It was unbelievable. And then, we ran into some roadblocks at the last location. We decided, well, this particular building, this space is not the best space for us, and we wanted to have a drive-thru and better parking, better accessibility. And so we found another building, which was amazing. It's amazing. It's a lot bigger. It's everything we wanted. But we got it open. But we ran into some struggles and some challenges, and we had to close. And it was literally looking like the whole thing was just going to crash and burn. So on top of that, the coffee shop closed. We had to find people jobs. It was a very discouraging, disheartening thing. On top of that, during that time when all that was going on, there was a lot of rumors going around. There was a lot of stuff that was said about us that was not true. There was people coming and going in my life. I don't know if anybody watching this, if you feel like this, anybody here, it seems like when the storm hits you, it hits you all at once. It's not like, hey, here's a couple drops of rain. No, here's a tsunami and a tornado. And, there was family turmoil that was going on. And I'll be honest with you, and I'll be transparent, and my wife would say the same. We reached many moments during that season where we were just ready to give up. We were ready to throw in the towel. And to the point where not only were we ready to throw in the towel, but we don't even want to be in the city anymore. I'm just keeping it real. And so we were thinking, let's just close the church, let's close the shop, and let's get out of here. I don't even want to go to public. It was that bad at one point. We didn't want to go into public. We just wanted to shut it down and to move away. And the next question was, how do we get from that point to where we are now? And there's a couple ways that we came out of that. We had this dream, we had this vision of something that we wanted to do, but we didn't have the right people around us. We didn't have the right key players at the table. There's this amazing verse in this ancient book that I've devoted my life to. You can figure out what that is later. But it says, in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. And so we looked at this ship, this nonprofit, this ministry that we have, it's like it's bouncing all over the place. It looks beautiful. There's amazing things that are happening in the ship, but I can't captain this thing by myself. And so there's this verse, in the multitude of counselors, there's safety. And so the first step towards reopening and getting that thing back on par and get back on course was to get the right people to help on the ship. And so we created this nonprofit. We pulled key people into that. I'm so thankful for those people. And then the second thing was there's this other verse in this amazing book. It says iron sharpens iron. And we were talking about this, me and some of my guy friends recently, and how, we often use that as, when we get around each other, that's how we grow sharp. But depending on what knife you have, different knives and different type of metal require different sharpening tools. And there were some different people and some different perspectives that I needed to get in my life. And so surrounding myself with the right people helped to push us through. Getting around some people that would challenge me and would sharpen me. Looking at some things in my own personal life. But I'll tell you, the third thing is the glue. This is the glue of how we push through it. And it's this. My wife and I, we have always believed deep in our bones, man. Deep in our bones, like, bro, I'm talking down to the bone marrow. We believe that these people that we serve, they're worth fighting for. Like, if there was anything that pushed us when it was raining and it was lightning and everything was shaking and boards were coming out of the boat, it was the reminder that these people, they're worth weathering the storm for. Why? Because we are these people. I know what it feels like to come home from prison and try to rebuild my life, and nobody wants to give me a shot. I know what it feels like to want to try to get off drugs and try to leave a lifestyle. Nobody will give me a chance. We believe that these people are they're worth fighting for. We believe that people deserve to be seen, to be heard. And I was thinking about this earlier today. When I think about the totality of who we are and what we do, I believe that we're in the business of really seeing people, because in God's world, nobody is invisible, man. So if you could boil it down, if you could turn up the flame and strip all the impurities out of all of it, what's the heart of all of it? We believe that in God's world, nobody's invisible. We've learned to struggle well. Like my friend Luke Day says, I wish somebody would have told me, and I'm just being real here, I wish somebody would have told me that to pursue a dream and to do something great, you're going to suffer. You're going to struggle. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. You were talking about health a minute ago. Like, as you're doing strength training or you're doing cardio, like, that stuff doesn't feel comfortable. There's resistance, right? When you sharpen a knife, back to the iron sharpens iron, there's tension, there's friction that's involved. I wish somebody would have told me early on, hey, you are called to do this amazing thing, but I'm telling you, it's going to be hard as hell. There's going to be people that are going to come and go in your life. There's going to be people that are going to tell you you're crazy. There's not going to be enough money. There's not going to be enough help. But when it comes to a dream or passion in your life, you can have the what, but if you don't have the why, there's no staying power. And I think the reason we were able to push through that, back to that question, was we knew what our why was. It was the people. Right? It was the people. And so the why, there's keeping power to the why. So when you think about your purpose, you think about your goals and your dreams, right? I love that you mentioned when it comes to health, it's not just about you, but it's about your kids. I had a recent health scare not long ago. The next question was, what was the thing that helped me to make the small changes that lasted to allow us to get where we are? And I think I kind of hit on some of that stuff. What is the call to action? What can the community do to help others? Those of you that are watching, those of you that come into the coffee shop, what can we do? What is the call to action to help people live healthy, whole lives? The first thing is to acknowledge you can't fix a problem that you won't admit is there. It's to acknowledge that there's a problem, maybe in your own personal life, maybe in your health, maybe in your state of mind, maybe in your journey of recovery, re-entry, no matter what your story is. Maybe you've never been in trouble, but you're running on fumes, you're barely making it. I've been there in my own life. I'm coming out of that slowly right now as I'm sharing this. What's the call to action? The first call for me is to acknowledge that something is wrong. You can't fix something that you don't admit is there. And then I've tried to always pride myself on being a person. I don't want to complain about the problem. I want to do something about it. So what is that thing that you can do in your life? What is the action that you can take? There's many of you, when it comes to the mission of what we do, you come into that coffee shop, and we know we're not the cheapest shop around. You come into that coffee shop, you buy a latte, you go through our lightweight, janky drive-thru, you know what I mean, that everybody's trying to find out how to get in there. Man, that means the world to us. You're changing the world one purchase at a time. A call to action. Another call to action for me is telling my story. We just had a painting done here recently at the church, and it says, when we recover loudly, we keep others from dying quietly. So man, when you come out of something, don't keep that a secret. Share it with the world. Your story and your perspective and your journey can be the key to somebody else's cage. And finally, what can we do as individuals to help ourselves and help others? This is a hard one. We can die. We can die to our ego. We can die to our agenda. There's something powerful when you devote your life to something bigger than yourself. What are the small things that we can do to live like Jesus? How can I bring light to darkness? Well, first I got to admit that it's dark out here. And secondly, I need to share that with someone. I need to share my story with somebody. I never thought I would be up here telling you any of this. I never thought I would be the pastor of a church. I never thought I would have this reentry program with my wife. I never thought in a million years, as I was standing on the corner selling drugs in the ghetto in Cleveland, Ohio, with a loaded 50 caliber Desert Eagle in my pocket, selling crack cocaine all night. If somebody would have told me all those years ago, bro, this is what God has for you, I would have never believed it. And as I see people come in here, people come to the coffee shop and they get sober and they turn their lives around, and people come out of prison and they start to tell their story, there's this ripple effect. So maybe you've struggled being unhealthy for years, and you're willing to be that person to bear the shame and the embarrassment of going to the gym when you know everybody's going to look at you. Man, that's powerful. We got a guy that's a part of our community. He was struggling with weight, huge, big time. He was really struggling with it, but man, this guy, he's lost like 100 pounds. It's amazing. He's my hero. And so share your story. When you overcome those little things, don't keep that to yourself. We want to let you know as we wrap this up, and I don't know if there's any final thoughts you want to share with you before we close, but we want to wrap this up and remind you that you were meant to live a healthy, whole life. Maybe you don't feel whole and healthy spiritually, emotionally, physically. My homegirl, my home boy, you don't have to live like that. There's people out here that want